And welcome to Daily Chess and my coverage of the Sinquefield Cup in St. Louis 2013. We're on the third round here, and it's a game between Kamsky and Levin Aronian. Aronian playing with black. And yeah, well, Kamsky at least tried to come back to the tournament. I mean, he lost already certain points, and in order to finish the tournament with a decent score, he had to be, had to, yeah, turn back his or what's it, turn down his ambitions and try to be a bit more solid. Well, the game started with with d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, and now interesting c3, which leads to kind of a queen's pawn opening. Usually, c4 is the main move, and maybe even the most challenging one, leading to the queen's gambit. But already, playing knight f3 looks a bit, interesting. I mean, it certainly avoids some lines, but c3 is certainly maybe the surprise which Aronian had to face. And in general, I mean, what White is trying to achieve is usually a Slav setup, a semi-Slav, with those pawns here. And the bishop either goes to outside the pawn chain or sometimes even stays in, but staying inside the pawn chain is a bit more passive, and usually black gets more than enough chances to play for a point. So c3 is also just flexible. Let's see what black tries. One of the main ideas also is that after c4 we get really a reversed Slav, but with an extra tempi for white, which means that it makes much easier for him to hold on this pawn. After d takes c5 and later on maybe even b4, and playing kind of a note-boom system. Okay, c6, rather solid. I mean, certainly he didn't expect this line, so he tries to not go for anything he didn't remember anymore, and tries to play some solid move. Bishop f4 and knight h5. Knight h5 is seen quite often to try to win the bishop pair and play for a small and stable plus. But okay, and this knight is not very well placed. That's the main drawback. So if white retreats the bishop, I mean, okay, g5, then maybe h6 comes. Sometimes maybe even f6 and preparing e5, but that's not the point here. Or if he goes to d2, he will be passive, and white wants to close this diagonal, to open up this diagonal and to close this one. And with the bishop on d2, yeah, that's not that great. So it's a kind of interesting move. I mean, there are some lines with bishop takes b8, but giving up the bishop pair is not to everybody's taste. Okay, g3 is possible, but you cannot really avoid the exchange of the bishop anymore. Not great. I mean, not really. So after g6, knight b2, for example, bishop g7, e3, knight e7. So normal development. And now, in order to preserve the bishop pair with bishop h4, black can try g6 in order to push him back, and then maybe to exchange it off. But after g4, there was a game, I mean, between Nakamura and somebody, I don't remember it anymore, but it's just Montreal, 2008, and it was quite interesting, but, I mean, yeah, certainly black isn't at all worse. Okay, so bishop e3, well, it seems quite unnatural to put the bishop like that, because the bishop stands in front of its pawns, which is usually, you're told that not to place the pieces in front of your pawns, because the pawn which is blocked cannot move, and thus the piece cannot really be developed. But Kamsky had a different plan, which is g3 and fianchetto this bishop here, because the bishop is in general, this Catalan bishop as it often called, it's quite an effective piece, especially if white somehow manages to weaken, to soften this pawn structure here. Especially with c4, maybe later on f4, maybe even f3, e4, depending on how much resistance black puts up on d5. This bishop can become very, very powerful. And okay, the same goes with black, of course. So both sides develop here. And now maybe the first interesting one, the most natural move here would just be cancel. Later on, I don't know, maybe knight f6, knight b7, maybe even bishop f5, something like this. No, just getting normal play, and black shouldn't be at all worse. But now comes an interesting move, which is queen c1. After queen c1, yeah, it's quite interesting because what white tries to do is to get rid of his bad bishop after something like e3, and to neutralize this potential dark squared Catalan bishop, if you could call it like this. Yeah, that's quite an interesting theme. And yeah, well, bishop h6 and taking on g7 is just one way to weaken the dark squares here around the king. Okay, knight d7, bishop h6, and I mean black could only try to stop this idea by playing rook e8, and after bishop h6 to retreat to h8, maybe knight f6, knight g7, maybe even some more prospects on not there on f5 or e6. That's maybe one idea, but in general, I mean, okay, probably 11 Aronian estimated this position, or this idea is not too dangerous. And maybe he's even quite happy with some exchanges. I mean, he's not surprised in the opening, and I mean, you shouldn't have too many problems, but it's a bit tricky. Rook e8 takes, castle, and e5. And well, if we try to, well, this is maybe the first critical point here in after the opening. And I mean, if we compare the pieces, I mean, it's probably all about pieces. I mean, okay, black finally managed to play e5, which should give him at least equal chances. But the main feature will probably be to bring this bishop alive, and from black's point of view to limit the danger. I mean, this bishop here is certainly better than this counterpart. It has for a very long time to come more prospects than this bishop, because the bishop cannot go to b7 immediately, and even if it goes to b7, there are two own pawns which block it. So certainly white has maybe a better bishop here. This knight is not ideally placed, and in certain, one could say that white's position may be a bit more easier to play, because I mean black doesn't have any obvious weaknesses, so that makes it a bit more difficult for white to play on here. But I mean, in this knight he will probably go to d2 after white takes, and I mean it's all about this bishop here probably on g2, as we can see in the game. D takes e3, otherwise no, d4 might come. Okay, this knight you can either go to f3, hitting the rook, and then maybe transfer to d4 later on. But what white will probably aim for at the later stage is c4, either this to not simply to a bit to not improve this bishop here on g2, or maybe even, I'm not sure, but maybe it's possible to start a kind of, no, only with 2 pawns, kind of a minority attack here. If we exclude this bishop, this pawn here, should try to create a weakness here, and then with this to either create a weakness on d5 or on c6. This might be an idea, but no, I don't know. Okay, f5. Well, certainly also stopping this plan here. I mean, bishop to g4 was maybe the normal move. Okay, this bishop isn't very good there, but there's a point in this move, because of the c4, black can play d4. So white cannot play knight f3 with the idea of c4 next, because he can take and play d4 anyway. And it's problematic here for white, because I mean this knight, I mean on b3 isn't very good. The only prospect is on f3, but he can simply be exchanged off. But okay, after h3, bishop e2, that's the point. Rook e1, bishop d3 would be quite interesting. I mean this bishop is in a certain way untouchable there. I mean, okay, bishop f1 is maybe an idea, But I mean, then you give up the powerful bishop, so that's not White's idea. I mean, he's trying to put this bishop here to to bring this bishop to life, especially on this long diagonal here. So yeah, that's maybe not the best way to fight for an advantage here. Okay, f5 came anyway. c4, and now at the point that if now d4, we have this tempo gainer, knight f3, because the rook is hanging, which means an intermezzo here would be wise. And okay, if the rook moves, we simply pick up this pawn here, probably with the knight. So rook e8 takes. As I mentioned, it's all about improving this diagonal for the bishop, and he already weakens this structure. So this would be horrible. I mean, probably just knight b3 or even knight f3 and knight d4, securing this outpost, blocking this pawn, making this bishop maybe an eternal defensive piece, and later on you can just line up on this file here and pressure this pawn. Yeah, that's simple tactic, simple strategy against an Isolani. So knight takes d5, and you can already see that this bishop here made certain improvements compared to, let's put it like this here. I mean, here he had 3 pawns in his way, and even a knight if you could count it. And in this position here, it's much better because he has more squares which he control. And well, if we somehow manage to play a3, b4, and maybe b5, one of those 2 pawns will become weak, and that's what White plays for in this position. a3, okay, king g8, rook e1, knight f6, queen c3, bishop e6 now, u4. Well, e4 is okay. The idea is probably just to play e5 because otherwise the bishop is again blocked. Maybe b4 was an idea, but no, it's not in White's favor to trade one pair of rooks. I think maybe rook a to b1 was necessary first, but okay, or more a to c1, maybe even more accurate. Okay, e4, knight e7, rook a to c1, f6. Yeah, f6 is also quite interesting. I mean, certainly stopping e5. And with this, the bishop is just limited. So I didn't like e4 at all, I must admit. Maybe rook a to c1 was a bit better. So knight f3, a4, knight d4. Okay, improving the piece. Bishop f7, rook e to d1. Already very dangerous lineup here. Yeah. Also maybe even sometimes sacrificing here on c6, and then this pin comes to life. And bishop h3 ideas maybe even, who knows. Queen e7. And also quite interesting now, I mean, h4. I mean, in this term it seems to me that Kamsky is a big fan of moving his rook pawns. I mean, against Carsten he played this h5 move, against Levon he now plays h4. And I think even in the 5th round I saw something like this. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he prepared this with the coaches to play h4, h5 at any moment. Okay. Knight e5. h5. Okay, let's try to create something here. Knight c4. Bishop f1. Knight e6. hg, hg, and now f3. With the bishop moved off the diagonal, it's quite interesting to put the pawns in light squares. I mean, the bishop will either go to h3, or he can maybe control this diagonal here. I mean, this pawn cannot move because otherwise this pawn will be weak. But on the other hand, this pawn is also a bit exposed, so it might be a bit weak in the long run. And yeah, it's quite interesting. Maybe White could probably try queen b4, now putting some pressure on this pawn and on a4. Let me see if I can find another attacking plan here. Maybe even knight e2, knight c3, rook d4, and suddenly you have some attackers against the pawn on a4. So who knows? It might be telling in future. Queen e5, okay. King f2, normal plan. Rook a to d8, queen b4. Okay, attacking the pawn on b4, and okay, it's problem is if it retreats this piece here, I mean, something like this is probably just a blunder. Let me check. Let me check it. Guess I don't know if this maybe you can take there. I'm not quite sure how to estimate this position. It seems to only help black because of the takes, rook takes. I'm not quite sure if this is so great anymore for white. I mean, okay, after knight b4 or knight d4, he has bishop g2 finally, but I'm not quite sure if this is so great. Okay, but Aronian estimated that f5 is even stronger, and that's important here, even to soften this structure here. And if these pawns are weak, the king is weak as well. E takes. Interesting was queen e3, because after king g2, knight takes f5, knight takes f5, g takes f5. It seems that with this push to f4, you can somehow weaken some squares. And also know this, if this pawn moves, then the light square becomes terribly weak. This maybe was just interesting. Okay, g takes f5, queen d2, queen g7, queen c3, queen h6, just a bit maneuvering, queen d2. He doesn't fear a check here, because the bishop just goes to g2 and stands well there. Queen g7, queen c3, and just maybe probably trying to make the time control. But after bishop d5, Aronian refused the 3-foot repetition and goes for it. 92, aiming for p4, f4, sorry, important dark square. Bishop e3, attacking the rook. Queen takes check, king takes, and rook d4. So the bishop is now forced to keep an eye on a4. King f6, rook c5, and soon the game ended. Knight b5, rook takes, and king e3. I mean, even if the rook goes to e1, this isn't of much help. I mean, probably the bishop will no, okay, it's just rook c1, yeah, rook c1, and there isn't anything to gain from the first rank, and yeah, both players agree to a draw, because it's also not easy to exploit this pawn here. And I mean, this setup is rather solid. I mean, of course, this bishop has one important function, which he has probably to yeah, which has to, how to say, to fulfill, I don't know, probably for the entire game, to keep this pawn here. I mean, if this pawn moves, c6 will be weak, but otherwise it's not easy to exploit this. I mean, something like knight c1 maybe is an idea, but well, certainly, I mean, something like this is also annoying, and it's black to move. Maybe if I don't know, if white can manage to play rook knight c1, it's maybe an idea to play for something. I mean, also bishop takes b5 is maybe a long-term plan, and yeah, this might be maybe the only way where white could try to try something. But after king e3, rook d1, I mean, if the king retreats, maybe this is already annoying. Who knows? I mean, after something like this, maybe even going for knight c1, then okay, no, taking with check. That's the point. Otherwise, knight takes b5 or bishop takes b5, rook takes b5, sets up this pin here. Otherwise, this would be annoying. But okay, it takes with check, and it's over probably. So yeah, black's probably just in time to take this thing out of. White is just in time to take this thing out of the position here. Well, if you have any, no, I don't know, ideas or yeah, suggestions, something like this, just write on my YouTube channel here on Daily Chess TV, and I'll try to reply as soon as possible. Of course, only constructive comments, please. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It would be a great help for me, so you can stay up to date if new videos are published. Thanks for watching. Bye.